case? A murder.
Murder? That's not a point. A case is a case. The police have handed you a suspect, haven't they?
Yes, the maid.
Maid. Alright. Fire a few questions at her. Get her to sign a statement. Then you clap her into prison. And get on to something else. Let's have a look at the summary of the evidence from the police.
Sure, right here.
In an interrogation, don't fumble for papers like that. The witness may get the idea. You are not sure for yourself. Here, let me show you. Locate the document in advance. Keep your finger on it. Then, keep it out.
That's not bad. Let me try it.
Good afternoon, Morrison.
Good afternoon, Monsieur Laplace.
70. I thought I'd stop by seeing how you're getting on. It's your first interrogation, isn't it?
Yes, in a few minutes, in fact.
Is that the shooting in the street of the Fascinaria? The maid and the chauffeur making love in your room? Outburst of jealousy and bang. Well, can't expect them to watch television forever. Is this it? May I? Oh, splendid. The maid was found in the scene of the crime and murder weapon in her hand. Very nice. Congratulations, 70. It's an operation case.
Well, her story is that a shot was fired in the dark and she promptly fainted.
That's her story? Well, warn her if she sticks to that. She will be guilty of murder and contempt of court. Really. By the way, it's just not my opinion. This is how the chief prosecutor sees it too.
The chief prosecutor, has he followed the investigation?
Are you mad? Certainly not. Do you honestly expect the chief prosecutor to concern himself with the case of a parliament and a chauffeur, bouncing from bed to bed until one of them died from it?
I just don't see how the chief could form this opinion.
Unless the girl and her victim both work in the household of Benjamin Boviers.
That's bad, isn't it?
Yes, a man. Tell him, Morrison.
In Paris, T-Ban, Bouvier brothers, billions.
And a fine old family. Before her marriage, she was Saint Maude Benevoli.
A member of the Bouvier family rode beside the king in the first crusade.
Just so. He was, in fact, the treasurer.
I see what you mean.
Of course you do. Get a confession from the girl, at least a short one, if possible. And you will be home for an early dinner. Good luck, Savigny. Call me the moment you dispose from the case and I'll pass the good news along to the law.
You know, Morrison, the Boviers family must be very nice, kind people. After all, he could have tried the girl themselves, found her guilty, and guillotined her in the kitchen without consulting anybody.
The rich like things done their way. Otherwise, what would be the point of having all that money?
Damn!
I know how you feel, but what's the harm? The girl is guilty.
What if she is? She should be tried by a judge and a jury, not by a social register or a bank.
You are taking this too seriously. This is a business, and it is the chief prosecutor who runs it. Now, just think along those lines. Shall I see if the girl is here?
Yes, let's have her in. What do you think, Morrison? The friendly fatherly approach for this one?
The silent treatment. Let us wait for a bit. Chances are she will break down and confess before you ask the first question.
Then by all means, the silent treatment.
Joseph and Auntie there, come in. again.
Was this for today? Okay. Will you come back tomorrow? The guard out there told me a funny joke. Two old maids owns a drugstore. Oh, we are waiting for magistrate. Is that it?
I am the magistrate.
You? All right. You don't look it. He's not the type.
Well, you'll have to take my word for it.
I didn't say it to hurt your feelings.
All right. Your name, please.
Josefa Lentine,
Where were you born?
Spoleto, the province of Rome.
Your age?
24. As rule, I don't look it. But these last 2 days.
Your occupation?
Parliament. Accidentally, your office is too filthy. It is. You should speak to a sheriff. I parliament myself, so I know how easy it to swipe under the rug or.
Don't wander from your question.
I'm sorry, but it is not healthy to work with so much dust flying around.
Joseph Antony, I'm charged by the law as an examining magistrate for the higher court to conduct an inquiry into the death by shooting of one Miguel Ostos.
I'm innocent.
I didn't ask you that.
I thought I did tell you to save you the trouble of questioning me.
It's no trouble. I assure you that.
All right. Can I tell you what it means in my own words?
Certainly not. Above all, Joseph Antony, be absolutely truthful in replying to my questions. And if you tell even the slightest lie,
Why should I lie? I have nothing to fear. As my father used to say, if you are a poor, there are two worries you don't have. The pickpockets and lawyers. Oh, you are a lawyer, aren't you?
don't you also want to know if I'm a pickpocket?
I'm sorry about what I said.
Alright.
I don't mean to be fresh or any.
Alright. Are your parents living?
My father? Yes. My mother? I don't know. I never knew her or anything about her. Strange, isn't it? Generally, it is the father one who can identify. 4 days after I born, she ran away with railroad conductor. I guess I didn't make good impression.
Your your father. He is a farmer, correct?
Yes, and a windower. I worked for him until Madam always hired me. Her chateau was only 2 kilometers away from our vineyard. I was there parliament for 2 summers before I came to Paris.
The deceased, Miguel Ostos, was already in their employ.
Yes, chauffeur. In his uniform, he was something. You know something? At first, he didn't appeal to me at all.
How long you changed your mind about us?
Not long. I didn't even know it was happening. Suddenly, I was in love.
You and Ostos, when and how?
When? How? It was in August, 2nd or 3rd Wednesday. I'm sure it was Wednesday because we both have day off. The heat was awful that day. But at sundown, it was better. We walked to the vineyard to say hello to my father and then back along the river. Then animals were being driven from the field. There is sort of haze or everything. I tripped on the root. I grabbed Miguel to keep from falling and somehow we both fold.
As simply as that.
It was our day off. The heat, you know.
He beat you, didn't he?
Well, you know, we are in love.
That's why he beat you.
Never when he was drinking.
Witnesses have testified that in September and October, you exhibited bruises on your face, arms, and body. Marks of beatings given to you by Miguel Hostos.
It was just a conversation. One brag little.
You quarreled bitterly. Don't deny to it. Here is the testimony of your neighbors who swear that your fightings disturb their sleep.
Huh?
What sort of answer is that? Well, in any event, your relationship was continuously violent.
What it could be? He was Spaniard. He did sit half of the night at window, sometimes without saying a word, and then throw himself on me. Poor Miguel. He was passionate about the bullfights. Just last week, he was all got over Florida in the Mexico City. Luis Miguel Domiguin with the Rodrigo bull, the most dangerous species. Horns like sabers. Domiguin made the first few passes and kneeling in front of the Barrera. And then a great pena. And what a kill! The Thurston sword to the head. The house got mad. Judges using both the ears, the tail, one hoof. Even in the Mexico, that's a lot. Ole, Domiguin. Ole. Ole. Oh.
Oh God. How did we get to that?
The silent treatment.
Blow your nose.
I haven't got handkerchief.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hate crying. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about Megan. What do you think? Where is now? There are bullfights?
Bullfight? I don't know. Maybe.
I'm fine now. I won't do it again.
Keep it. You never can tell.
No, I'm fine now. I don't need handkerchief.
You knew Hostos wanted to get married to someone else.
He got ambitious suddenly. This girl, her parents are rich, owns a butcher shop.
You weren't jealous.
Of her father's money? Butcher shop in a good location. That's something. And my dowry. My father didn't even know about me and Miguel until I was in Paris. And suddenly sent me a wire. Don't come home and all is forgiven. Funny old Pope.
Love or money? You knew Hostos would leave you.
What could I do about it? You don't think that give me reason for killing Hostos?
It happens. You know, a woman scorned.
You are getting all wrong. I kept reminding him about money and telling him she was beautiful. Beautiful. Just between us. A real dog.
You were reconciled about losing Hostos. And it didn't bother you.
What lasts forever?
Yet he died in your room.
He was one of his mood. He cried in Spanish, throwing himself on me and cursing like a madman.
Strange, isn't it? Hostos was going to leave you, and by your own account, you say that he was behaving like a jealous madman.
Well, he was funny in Lord's way.
Then why was he jealous?
I don't know.
Did he have any reason to be?
I don't know. Spaniard. Who know why he was jealous?
Then what he was?
It was foolish. I shouldn't have told him.
Told him what?
Well, I thought if he was leaving me, he would suffer. Thinking I was alone. So I told him there is someone else. It was like, I admit that. But out of kindness,
Just to make him feel better. And there was no other man.
how dare it be? When I give my heart, I give it all to the hill.
You were so considerate. Even though you knew that he was going to marry Solange Duval.
Solange? Only a butcher can name his daughter Solange.
Ostos and the Duval girl went out together once. He took her to the movies. But the girl was hopelessly bored because all through the film he kept talking about you and his insane jealousy.
Liars. All of them. Just check scaling the butcher shop and you would know what I mean.
Then why was he raving about his jealousy?
I don't know. Crazy Spaniard. He was jealous to shadows.
I'll confront you now with the testimony of Madame Mate Habu.
Who?
Obvious cook.
Oh, camel face.
Morriston. Morriston.
Madam, are you interrogated by Inspector Cora of the police? Question. Was Miguel Ostos jealous of Joseph Valentine? Answer. He was foaming like a fire extinguisher. Question. Why? Answer. He knew Joseph was unfaithful to him, but didn't know who. Question. Did he suspect one man or many?
What?
Quiet.
Answer. One man. And finally this from Madam Argu. Only 2 days before Miguel died, he came raging into my kitchen. He swore he would get the name of the man Joseph was sleeping with. And then, boom, boom, it will be over quickly. The fact is, Miguel never dreamed of leaving you. You asked the butcher's daughter on Miguel Ostos because you were leaving him or had actually left him.
You had no reason to invent a lover. He existed. You discarded Miguel Ostos for the other man.
So that's what you are investigating?
Is it true? Yes or no?
Alright. Yes, it's true.
Thank you. You may smoke now, if you like.
You are being nice to me suddenly.
We are nearly finished. We have the motive now.
The what?
Motive for your crime. Joseph Valentine, I charge you with the murder of Miguel Ostos.
Good for you. Say, is it full-time job you are here?
You were found on the scene of the crime. The murder weapon in your hand. Only the motive was missing.
As long as it was my motive, is it alright to tell me what it was?
The man whom you love now. That was your motive. To protect him from Ostos' jealous rage. Have you got that, Morriston?
Every word.
You look like a sensible fellow. Tell him, it is silly.
You, pay attention to me.
Don't you dare lay a finger on me.
Did you struggle with him for the gun?
What gun? We are in my bedroom, not in a shooting gallery.
Did you know that there was a gun kept in the glove compartment of the Rolls Royce?
Which Rolls Royce?
What?
We have 3.
Huh? Ah, the limousine.
How should I know what goes in limousine and in the gloves compartment? But in my room, no guns.
Very well. Then what about the gun that you had in your hand?
I was unconscious.
Well, conveniently, you had in your hand a .38 caliber Beretta automatic pistol, which has been identified to be the gun found in the Rolls-Royce. And don't ask which Rolls-Royce. Ostos took it from the car. He came to your room, and when he threatened you, as you yourself have testified, that he would kill your lover, you shot him.
No, it's not true. I swear it.
Now, tell me, were the lights of your room on or off?
Off,
You positive?
positive. With Miguel, it was always in the dark.
Now, just stick to the facts.
Why don't you listen? Alright. There we go. The facts. The door opened, shot was fired, Miguel fell, I fainted. You asked, that's what you want? The facts?
That's a ridiculous story.
Sure, it's ridiculous. It's the truth. That's why. Do you think I like it? When I told him to Inspector Kolas, he took my temperature. He thought I had fever. I wish I could give you a smooth, elegant story, but I'm telling you what really happened. I know it's clumsy and terrible, but it's the truth, and that's what I have.
Morrison, please note that I'm unimpressed by this outburst. Now, tell me, on the night of the crime, other than Miguel Ostos, did you have any other visitors in your bedroom?
No?
Thank you. So that it narrows down to you and the victim alone in your room.
It's a small room.
After the shot was fired, you fainted immediately.
Right away, like that.
Get up. You and Ostos were about 10 feet apart,
Yes, I suppose so.
and the shot was fired from a distance of exactly 10 feet apart.
Of course. I tell you all along. Shot was fired from the hall when door opened.
Or from the bed, exactly 10 feet away, by you. Sit down. Are you acquainted with a lawyer who might represent you?
No,
Do you realize the danger you are in?
I'm choking on it.
There's more. Now, listen to me. Ostos didn't die at once. He lived for a few minutes and he talked.
What? My poor Miguel. He saw himself dying. Oh no! Why did you tell me?
Because he talked. Do you realize what I mean? In the presence of the witnesses, he said, "Why did you do it, Josepha?"
He died that by thinking I had killed him. Miguel, wherever you are now, you know I didn't do it.
Well, that's a powerful accusation against you.
I know. Poor Miguel.
Oh, stop saying poor Miguel. His worries are over now, and yours have started. You know what this is? A warrant of arrest against you. The guard is waiting over there to take you to the prison. The next step is trial, and then prison again. Or worse.
Why? Do I look like a killer or sound like one? Miguel and I were lovers once, and he is still dear to me. Why would I kill him?
Because I told you to protect the man whom you love now.
I swear it's not true.
Then give me the name. Come on, out with it. Quickly. The name of the man.
If warrant is ready, I'm ready.
Suddenly you're hard and determined.
Can I just go to prison without speeches?
You won't give me the name?
No.
Take her away. Oh, take her out!
Try kerchief. Very good. Extremely well handled. The fact is, I thought you were about to get your confession. And if you had pressed the final accusation a bit harder.
Don't be an ass.
What?
She is innocent.
Innocent? Surely not. The evidence, the fight, the way you questioned her.
I hammered her to show the danger she is in. If she talks long enough, that idiot, she'll shatter herself right up to the stairs of the guillotine.
Innocent? Maybe. But where does that leave us?
It leaves us with a nice, juicy, unsolved murder.
Chief prosecutor? It's those. Are you quite sure she is innocent? What I mean to say is, if we have to give the benefit of the doubt, then let's give the chief prosecutor.
Let's lock up. For my first day, I have had enough.
The magistrate, reading law book all day. I knew this would happen.
Morris, when I will be questioning the girl, I shall ask you to bring in another witness for confrontation.
Yes? Who?
No matter, but when I do, you take your time.
Right?
Fiddle with your papers, tie a shoelace, do anything, but take your time.
Indefinitely.
Yes, a few moments, and you'll be able to judge it for yourself. See if the girl is here. Get her in.
Joshi Valentine, come in.
Sit down, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle, You called me Mademoiselle. One of your tricks.
Sit down, mademoiselle.
Oh, that prison. Do you know what it's like?
Now, if you will just please listen to me.
How do you like if two dirty old women strip you to the skin and search you everywhere? Horribly.
Well, prison is supposed to be unpleasant, so people will try avoid not being put in it.
And this picture they took of me? Look at that. I look terrible.
How do you get that? Prisoners aren't allowed newspapers.
Huh? Lot you know. In the women's prison, for the first few days you can get anything.
Well, we have some unfinished business. You and I. Now, then, the name of your lover.
Miguel Ostos? Well, he was.
The other man.
He left town weeks ago. And really, he had nothing to do with all this.
I'll just ask you once more. Now, the name of the other man. Oh, you're being your sweet, reasonable self again, huh?
I want to be. I cried for 11 hours in that filthy cell. Other woman said it was new record for prison. And if you send me back, it will be worse.
So,
I won't give you name of someone innocent and like to get him mixed up in all this. I call it being informer.
in a few minutes, I guarantee you that you would give me the name.
Alright, I don't mind waiting.
How do you get along with your employer?
Madam Bowers, she's marvelous. We are all crazy about her. She's been more like a wonderful elder sister than employer to me.
But when Inspector Kulas asked you about Madam Bohovius, you said she's alright if you like the snooty icebox type.
Did I say that about Madam? I'm ungrateful pig.
And Monsieur Bohovius?
Well, he's very elegant, you know. He's probably very nice too. But honestly speaking, I never really understood most of what he was saying.
Did you have many conversations?
As a parlor maid in his parlor, naturally, he had to tell me things. Don't you talk to your parlor maid?
In other words, you had a real gulf between you.
That's right, a real girl.
Morrison, show in the other witness, Monsieur Bohovius.
Monsieur Bowers? He's here.
Hurry, Morrison.
Oh no. The way I look, they took everything from me. Powder, lipstick, everything. Oh no. Why does he have to see me looking like this? Oh,
Remember, I told you, you would give me the name.
Agent Bhavya, please come in. Interrogation later, madam.
not at all. You have misunderstood.
No, madam, there's no mistake. Please wait.
My dear judge, I was just explaining to you, clerk.
I'm not a judge, madam, only a magistrate. Now, if you just please listen to wait in the corridor.
Wait! In the corridor?
Or I prefer in the adjoining room.
But surely, you wouldn't think of questioning your husband alone without me.
In my opinion, madam, that would be best.
Benjamin, did you hear that?
I did, my dear Dominic.
Is that all you have to say?
No doubt, our learned friend could have expressed himself in a more affable way, but he never had been pressed for time.
Fantastic, isn't it? I never really understood half of what he's saying. And we have you to thank, Joseph, for all this unpleasantness. So it seems, madam, and to think I have always had confidence in you. And I have always been kind to you. Very kind, madam.
Morrison, please show Madam Bohavius to the corridor at once.
Benjamin,
Yes, my dear Dominic.
do you hear the tone in which this man speaks to me?
I detected no coarseness or any lack of courtesy in his address, my dear.
Very well. I'll wait.
Thank you, Madam.
I must explain to you, my dear judge, that Dominic, kind of obvious, didn't mean to be overbearing, but hers is an ancient family, descendant, I believe, in the direct line from Attila the Hun.
Please sit down.
Thank you, my dear judge.
I'm not a judge, only a magistrate. Your name, please. Address and profession.
Benjamin Bohavius, 112 Rue de la Fazandre, a banker.
You have lost weight, monsieur.
A little, and you don't look too well, poor Josephine.
Well, prison, you know, they won't let us have makeup.
Reason? Poor Josephine.
You know I have looked after myself.
But we have this murder on our hands.
Of course. Pay attention, Josepha.
Yes, sir. Don't worry. He's really nice. At first, I didn't think so. He did send me to prison. But he's really nice.
Be quiet.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that other than Miguel Ostos, Josefa Lantine had a lover?
Youth.
Did you know the identity of the other man?
Can I get some water, please? Thank you. Without infringing on the rights and privileges of the High Office, may I ask you a question?
Please?
Do you know the identity of the other man?
I think so. Yes.
I feel a natural apprehension about my wife, you understand? Do you suppose we could continue to share the secret between us?
I hope so. Yes.
I swear I told him nothing. But my idiot face betrayed me when you announced.
So you admit that you are the man.
I do, and with pleasure.
So I can understand.
Where did your affair begin? And when?
At our country house in Hartrave in September.
Thursday, 11th September
remember that I had started to think about lunch.
And something put it out of your mind?
Josepha is an excellent worker, you know. She had the floor gleaming like a skating rink. And when I entered the room, she tripped.
And fell.
Just so.
You jumped forward to help her. And then you both fell.
But my dear chap, that's precisely what happened. How do you know that?
Well, that is when Josepha Lantini became your mistress.
My word?
He means me.
But of course, you are my mistress. I had never thought of it precisely that way. Semantically, of course, you are entirely correct.
Semantically, biologically, legally. That is the fact, isn't it?
Yes.
And from then on,
I had not intended to embark on a prolonged relationship. I mean no offense, my dear.
I didn't even know you were talking about me.
So as already implied, hot trip in September offers only limited and monotonous amusements. And Josepha, my learned friend, this girl is more attractive than you would think possible.
and Ostos,
Not nearly as attractive. Of course, if your taste runs into sullen Spanish choppers,
I meant how did Ostos react?
Megan knew nothing.
he was on a vacation in the Basque Country. An aficionado. He had those Spanish passion for bullfights.
Ole! Ole!
Precisely. Ole! Ole!
You understand? There is no real anger between Monsieur Bowers and Megan.
Nonsense. I detested him.
Before your affair with Josepha, or since?
Oh, long before. For one thing, he was well over 6 feet tall. And I usually take an instant dislike to anyone who's taller than I am. Naturally, that's not true for General de Gaulle.
So your dislike of Ostos was based entirely on altitude?
No, it's true that he was a tall, handsome brute and looked quite well in uniform. But there was also a baffling air of insolence about him. He seemed to resent to be ordered to do this or that. In any event, the problem of Ostos no longer exists.
Yes, that's certainly true. Couldn't be better if you had arranged it, could it?
If you are speaking as the member of the staff or prosecutor, it would perhaps be best if I made no comments.
Why was the revolver kept in the glove compartment of the Rolls Royce?
Which Rolls Royce?
I let myself in for that, didn't I? Yes, the limousine.
The vehicle in question here is actually owned by our bank. Some aspects of taxation is involved. It is sometimes used for inconspicuous transfer of large sums, valuables.
In any event, you knew it was there.
I put it there.
And you're familiar with ordinary firearms?
My dear fellow, I was one of the best shots in France.
He gave it up. He's too kind to kill anything. He don't admit that, but now his eyesight is terrible.
If Monsieur Bohavius wants a lawyer, why don't let him choose one? You were the first to enter the scene of the crime.
Yes, that is so.
You hesitate.
Only because I believe it is a question of some importance.
You were attracted to the scene by the shot.
Yes, I was in my dressing room. At first I thought it might have been some backfire from a car. But in our states, cars don't do that. So I rushed downstairs to investigate.
When you were entering the room, what did you see?
I saw Josepha was lying at the foot of the bed. My immediate concern, of course, was for Josepha, but I saw at once that she was unharmed. Her chest was rising and falling regularly in a manner both tranquil and profound. Rising and falling.
You also didn't happen to find the body of Hostos lying anywhere in the room?
Yes, he was lying just inside the door. I had to step over him, in fact, to get to Josepha, which I did.
He was still alive, was he not?
He was.
He was quite conscious.
He was alive, gasping.
He was trying to speak, to say something.
I had that impression. Yes,
Could you really understand what he was trying to say?
a dying man, you see. Even under the best conditions, his accent was quite cold. Not at all Parisian. Also, he was the type who spoke wildly at all times, even when he had not been shot.
What were his exact words?
A dying man, and he quibble about exact words.
Approximately what were his exact words?
It's unfair to ask Monsieur Bowers that question in front of me.
Thank you for understanding, Josepha. Sensitive. It's quite amazing. She had little or no education.
What did Hostos say? I insist that you answer.
I'll answer. Miguel said, Josepha, why did you do it?
Why do you answer? Did you hear the word spoken?
I was unconscious. I'm repeating what you told me.
And I am repeating what Monsieur Bobby told to the police. That's true, isn't it?
Yes, actually, it was my wife who mentioned it to Inspector Colas.
But it was you who heard Hostos accuse her. It still remains the principal cause of her incrimination. Bluntly, you were the first to enter the scene of the crime. The girl is unconscious. Hostos is dying. You have the opportunity to put words in Hostos's mouth. Those seems useful.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard.
Oh, is it?
It is. Words like, Josepha, why did you do it? If Monsieur Bowers made this, that sentence would be 5 times longer and no one would know what it means.
A valid point. As you yourself have observed, my speech does have some traces of pomposity. And now, if I may comment on your mode of speech, I am very intrigued by your choice of the word useful. Why would I find it useful?
Because a few days before the shooting, Hostos suspected you. And furthermore, you knew it.
He didn't know. I knew it, but Monsieur Bowers did not.
There you are.
We'll see.
Look at the book. It's loaded.
Now I'll confront you with the testimony of Madame Marthe Herbu.
Who?
The cook gave her face.
Madame Marthe Herbu warned you to stop your affair with Josepha Lantine. She also warned you that Miguel Hostos suspected that he knows everything. But you told her that not to worry. You also told her that she is very close to you and you cannot give her up. She is in your blood.
Me? In your blood? What an honor.
It does not seem to be an entirely characteristic remark for me to make, does it?
Well, are you denying that you made it?
No, it's just that I can't remember.
If I read more of the conversation, perhaps your memory will improve.
You may try, but quite candidly, I doubt it.
Monsieur Monsieur Bowers has terrible memory. He forgot dates, names, place, everything.
Charming, isn't it? The girl is accused of a murder, and all she cares about how to defend you.
Yes, I find it very touching and beautiful. Thank you, my dear Josepha.
It's nothing.
No, my dear, it is something very special that I shall always remember.
Please, no tripping over roots here. Madam Matthew Herbu also told you that Ostos was brandishing a knife, and you told her not to worry. And I quote, "A knife is a romantic but outmoded weapon in terms of modern armament, especially if opposed by a gun."
I admit that sounds like me.
It's ridiculous. Imagine Monsieur Bowers in that kind of conversation with Cook.
Shut up!
And besides, there are no witnesses.
Another word and I'll throw you out.
Just the same, an excellent point has been made. No witnesses.
If it's witnesses you want, then I'll refer to the conversation you had at the Borini Club with Monsieur Gujame Ancinous. You confided in Monsieur Gujame Ancinous that you loved a certain Jojo. You didn't tell him that your Jojo is also your mate, but you did tell him that to keep her, I'd be capable of doing anything. Even a divorce, even a crime.
Oh, that son of a bitch!
Splendid! Your speech is much clearer now.
That's club life for you nowadays.
So, is your memory improving?
Yes, I remember something like that conversation.
Congratulations!
Those damn witnesses. A private conversation in my club. And I can't even decide. I bought a life membership.
It was just a dog. Loose dog.
Josepha, be still. Are you implying that I killed Ostos?
Well, let's see how it shapes up. Shall we? A charge of murder to be sustained consists of three major constituents: motive, opportunity, and premeditation. Your conversations with the cook and at the Borini Club provide your motive, and opportunity certainly existed. Premeditation may be assumed if you would have arranged to be alone that night.
What I had in mind was not a murder.
In addition, you were the first to enter the scene of the crime.
Please bear in mind, after the crime.
Yes, that's true. If you had arranged the matters that way.
It is just such innuendo and insinuation that makes a hollow mockery of justice in our times. I wish you a good day.
Good day. I think you'll find Madame Boviers waiting in the corridor.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
A man caught between a prosecutor and his wife has little or no choice. Continue.
Normally, the cook would have been at house that night, but you bribed her to go out.
We were together that night from 8 o'clock until 10. My wife was visiting her friends. It was a simple matter to get rid of the cook for the evening. And Ostos was sent on an errand to our branch bank in Lyons.
Yes, that is confirmed by the police.
I am a fast driver and I could not have been back before midnight at the earliest. It's utter madness that he was home at 11. I would have sworn it's impossible.
I bet that you were surprised to see him.
Oh, I see what you mean. He was suggesting that he found us together.
Yes, a jealous rage. And Ostos was famous for that. He came to your room and he found you. And then he attacked you. When he attacked you, you fired in a legitimate self-defense.
Is that a firm offer?
I can't give it to you that in writing.
That won't be necessary. I left Josepha at 10 o'clock.
True. 10 o'clock on dot. I heard clock striking and looked at my watch.
But why 10 o'clock? Since you believe that Ostos couldn't be back until after midnight.
Unfortunately, my wife's arrival couldn't be as accurately predicted.
Well, way out of anything happened to Ostos, you had another meeting planned that night.
Yes?
No.
At 11 o'clock?
No.
Yes?
Surely, what you had in your mind takes two.
We had planned to meet at 11. I had sent Josepha a note telling her so.
No. I never got a note. It's not true.
Let's not confuse each other for trifles, my dear.
But I haven't got a note. I knew nothing about meeting at 11.
Out! Morrison, please take Josepha to the guard.
No, no. I won't interrupt again. I promise.
You see, the chauffeur was already out of the way, and my wife had decided to stay at her friend's for dinner. Why grow old waiting?
Why indeed? Your conversations with the cook and at the Volini Club provide quite a feeling.
I tell you, he have been drinking.
All right, Josepha, that's enough. It's not important.
It is. He's accusing you. Tell him.
Actually, Monsieur Bahuvias is accusing himself. To keep her, I'd be capable of doing anything. Even a divorce, even a crime.
I'm like that. You say yourself, but Mose Bobbitt never.
I think it's time you spoke for yourself. Is that how you feel?
This is how I feel. I have a brutal, raging need of her. She's in my blood, like a fever that sets me trembling. It's a craving. I am addicted to her. And when I am deprived of the relief that only she can give me, a dull, aching pain settles at the back of my skull and throbs there, hammering at me. But I don't love her. I feel nothing for her except my need of her. Is that love? Is that addict in love with his heroin or cocaine?
No, don't say it.
I must! I don't care what you think or what you suspect. I'm saying this to break the relationship, to be free. Do you think I would kill Ostos? Divorce my wife? And then what? Be with her? Torn between her embarrassed silence and her insane, explosive jealousy? To be perpetually at the mercy of her mood? No, no, thank you. In time, I think I could have killed, but only one of us, Josepha or myself. That at least would buy me back my freedom. But killing Ostos to have her for myself, that meant slavery!
romantic. Very much.
I guess your relationship is clarified.
It's cold here.
I'm sorry, Josepha. I had to do it.
Regan, at least he beat me with his fist.
Can I just go now?
In a moment. Oh, damn. Yes, sir. Sure, sir. I'll be right there, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll be right back in a moment.
I'm ashamed of my ignorance. I wish you could speak simply so I can understand. Well, finally, turn around. You used to swallow me with your eye. Now just look at me. Science. This addicted now is drunk. Now, that pretty speech, I'll always remember it. I want you to need me like I need you, not a prescription like a painkiller. Those poker games, it's all night in a club. How many times I lay tripping on your lies and heard you creeping into the house, tiptoeing upstairs to her, sneaking upstairs to your wife.
What are you saying?
Lies. What a cheap, stupid lie. Just last week, Tuesday, another all-night poker game. But before midnight, you are creeping upstairs to her.
Tuesday, I played until 7 o'clock in the morning. I lost 20,000 francs. New francs.
Oh, stop it. I heard your key into the lock and your footsteps. Quickly going upstairs to her.
Who was it? Who was the man?
It was you. Who else would open front door with the key? Oh,
Dominic! Dominic, my wife? No. That can't be true. No. Dominic cannot do that. It's not true, is it? No. It can't happen. Dominic cannot do that. My hat. That's not true. Are you sure? Every time I played poker? No. Ah, my head. Ah. No, Dominic cannot do that. Say it's not true. Please. No, it's a lie. It's a cheap lie. No, that's not true.
Really, Sergey, I must say that you surprised me. 48 hours ago, I gave you an assignment as innocent of repercussions as a grocer charged with blocking the cell phone. 2 days! 2 little days! And now, we have something like Dreyfus case on our hands. You're pursuing very dangerous course, Sergey.
Do I have any choice?
Alright, let's examine the revised situation. It would appear that you have uncovered some indiscretions on the part of Madame Bovius.
She had a lover.
Horrible! Nobody in Paris would believe such a thing.
I draw no conclusion. I prefer that you judge the testimony for yourself.
Alright,
Ready?
Yes, sir. Question. Are you now prepared to make a new statement? Answer. Yes. I want to settle with that bitch.
what?
Excuse me. I am only reading.
You used that word?
His speech became surprisingly colloquial. Go on.
It was not I who first reached the scene of the crime. It was my wife.
What? Does he explain his original statement?
Go on, Morrison.
Question. Why did you previously state that you were the first to arrive? Answer. It was my wife's idea.
Huh?
Question. Why did you agree to this if it was not true? Answer. I was completely bewildered and I had complete confidence in Dominic.
Is that true?
Yes. Inspector Colas confirms that Monsieur Bovius withheld that information until it was dropped by Madam.
Question. What did you see on entering the room? Answer. My wife bending over Josepha, who was unconscious on the floor. And I believe what she told me then, that Josepha had killed her lover. I think now that she was just putting the revolver in Josepha's hand.
As I warned you, the words of vindictive husband. Go on.
Question. Who is the other man your wife has affair with? Answer. Monsieur John Claude de Perroy. Question. How is it so you are so certain? Answer. He is my best friend.
Charming lot, your Bovius.
They are not my Bovius. And so far, what they have done is not illegal. Even it's not unpopular. Go on.
Question. There is no doubt in your mind that Monsieur de Benoit is the man. Answer. None whatever. Question. Do you actually believe that your wife had planned a cold-blooded, premeditated murder? Answer. Ha! H.A. with an exclamation. Question. Can you be more precise? Answer. She got the note I intended for Josepha and she expected to find me in the room. Furthermore, I called your attention that she was still wearing a glove so that her fingerprint would not appear on the gun or anywhere in the room.
In the police interrogation, did they not mention that she was wearing her gloves?
No.
But it had no legal bearing whatsoever. I'm sure that she have reasonable explanations for everything.
Yes.
Didn't she?
She was fantastically good. Calm, poised, serene. She sat there like Whistler's mother, dressed in Balenciaga, and then suddenly a tiny crack on that glossy surface.
Question. Did you wear gloves that night, madam? This was followed by a complete silence. And finally answer. It's possible. I had just come in from outdoors. And it's possible I heard a shot, and it's possible that I didn't even pause to take off my gloves.
Here, she suddenly realized that her husband had talked.
Question. You seem pale, madam. Would you like a glass of water? Well, I will have one. And answer. No. If I am pale, it's because of the strain on me. But I can no longer conceal the truth. I love my husband, whatever shortcomings. But I have endured too much.
Here, her voice broke, and very reluctantly, she told her story. Read us that tender chapter from the family of behaviors, Morriston.
Question. On entering the room, what did you see? Answer. Miguel Ostos was lying dead on the floor, and my husband was on his knees beside Josefa. At my entrance, he gave me a wild cry for alarm, just like some trapped animal. I was terrified, and in a panic, with his pencil bleeding in my ear, I became his accomplice. I was not wearing my gloves, but he used them to wipe his fingerprints from the gun.
God, you read badly.
I am a clerk. I read like
Well, how much of all these does Joseph Valentine knows?
So far, nothing.
Scandal is mud. Give it some time to dry, and it turns to dust. Then deal with it.
To protect the behaviors.
Yes, damn it! Oh, I know. It's equal justice under law. But the boys aren't equal. Condemn me if you like. I'm afraid of them. And what's the harm finally? If the case remains as a affair between chauffeur and a maid. Mark my words. After 2 months of time, it won't matter to anyone.
Except, of course, to the maid.
You'll be finished today.
Are you asking me or telling me? I hope to finish today.
Well, then, that's that. In coming to a decision, would you thought of your wife? I mean, she's involved in your future, right?
Yes, very much so. And whatever I do, I know I can count on my wife.
Oh, well, good luck. Good luck, Sainya, with everything.
you seem pretty cheerful.
We need to get back to work, Morriston. If we need to get finished on this case, we'd better work fast.
Yes, that's the one in the building. The girl is waiting outside. Want her?
How is she behaving?
Hard to tell. She is sound asleep on a bench.
Hmm. It sounds like a lot less stress on her than on me. Get her in.
Josepha Landine, come in.
Expecting someone?
No,
Sit down. What's wrong with you?
nothing. Now, it's over. I want to confess.
What?
It's just, I'm not bright enough to track on my own lies. The stain is too much. I want to confess.
Anything special?
I killed Beagle. Right? Take it down. You have been writing down even my sneeze for the 2 days. Suddenly you are helpless. I'm confessing.
Here, look at me. Why are you being such an idiot?
Confess. nonsense is that jabs me like a red hot spear and you call that idiotic?
If you are still trying to protect the behaviors,
Protecting him after what you had he saved me in this room.
alright, go on, Marcy. Take it.
Thank you. I killed Miguel Ostros. I shot him with the pistol kept in Rolls Royce.
Which Rolls Royce?
Limousine.
Go on, go on.
I shot him. Of course, I didn't mean to kill him, just to wound him. There we are. Don't you want me to ask you any question?
And what? Interrupt you in between your confession?
I don't mind.
Well, why did you kill him?
Oh, his brutality. He beat me. You know that from the witnesses, don't you? Well, that night, again, because he was suspicious.
You had no bruises.
He kept me with the hands and beat my head against the floor. That's how I did this bump. I thought he meant to kill me, so I fired.
And where was the revolver?
When I shot him, in my hand, of course.
No, I mean, where was the revolver kept in your room? In your purse, in a drawer, on the bed, under the bed.
Under the bed, I reached for it.
But the shot was fired from a distance of exactly 10 feet.
It was under the other side of the bed.
And how did it get there?
We struggled for it. I knocked it from his hand. It fell on the floor. I kicked it. He's not writing anything.
Go on, Master. Take it. Just as she told. There is no more case against Madam Behaviors.
I'm sorry. I didn't confess right away. Madam Bowers? I thought it was him.
That's none of your business. Go on. Now, where's that red hot spear of conscience that was jabbing you a minute ago?
It sort of comes and goes. What's it about, madam?
Idiot.
I know.
It seems that it was Madam Behaviors who entered the scene of the crime first.
Madam! But he heard Miguel accusing me. His last words. Oh! He didn't I think I had shot him. Thank you. Thank you so much. Monsieur Bowers? He used that against me.
He thought it was true. It was his wife who told him that Ostros accused you.
Do you hear that, Miguel? Are you listening, my poor Miguel? Do you think he's listening somewhere? You know I'm innocent.
Perhaps. I hope so.
Innocent or not. If he can put his hands on me right now, I did get good clips on my ears. Forgive me, Miguel. I should know it was you who really loves me.
Now, if you are done with your spirit world, I'd like to get back to business.
Did she kill Miguel? That crazy Spaniard? He and Madam also.
No.
They aren't anything.
She expected to find her husband in your room.
Oh. Poor Miguel. He died by mistake. Like a wrong number. Punish her. Get her into the prison. She can have my room.
Well, we'll do what
You must. Miguel must avenge. To the Spaniard, these things terribly important. Punish them. I'm not asking for myself. For Miguel. I'll help you.
Oh, that's really what I need. You deny everything. You confess everything. That's really a big help.
I'm sorry. But I really want to help you.
Shut up. I'm trying to think on something else. Do you know anything about her wardrobe?
Oh yes.
Everything?
Every stitch.
Madam Bhavya, please come in.
Well, at last.
Sorry to keep you waiting, madam.
No. I must say, Prison seems to agree with you. Thank you, madam. It is possible to get used to anything.
Now, I'd like back to clear upon a few questions. Who is Monsieur Jean-Claude de Benoit?
A childhood friend.
Children grow up. They learn new games. 3 months ago, you ordered yourself a new key for the front door of your house. Is that right, madam?
I had lost mine. I wanted to replace it.
But the locksmith swears that you had your key, that in fact you gave it to him so that he could copy it.
I must have needed a duplicate.
So where is it now?
I don't know. I may have misplaced it. Really? It seems to be a great fuss about nothing at all.
Yes, of course. Childhood friends. And nothing more natural than Monsieur Jean-Claude de Benoit should have a key of his own so that he could come and go to your house whenever he pleased.
Think whatever you like. It is of no importance.
You knew from your servants, didn't you? That your husband visited Josepha time to time.
Yes, of course.
Did you know when?
No.
In the early afternoon, on the day of the shooting, your husband gave a note to Josepha about planning a meeting on 10 o'clock that night. But Josepha never received it. Do you know anything about that matter, madam?
Nothing. Whatever.
What happened at the night of the murder?
When I entered the room, Ostrus was dead. And my husband was kneeling beside your charming assistant.
At that day, when did you wake up, madam?
I woke up at 11. When I rang for my coffee, it was the cook who answered. I told her I wanted to see Josepha and my chauffeur. It was the cook who told you to take up my tray. Isn't it, Josepha? Yes, madam. You see, I'm telling the truth. I was convinced that my husband had taken the revolver. He knew Ostrus was manically jealous. And it was not a good idea to leave a loaded revolver when Ostrus could get it. It is certainly plausible, is it not?
It would appear to be.
I don't think he meant to kill Ostrus that day. Since his date with Josepha was for 11 o'clock, and he knew Ostrus could not get back until after midnight. But he did manage to get back in time to find them together. And you know what happened?
Not an unlikely reconstruction, madam. But I must admit, how do you know that the meeting was planned for 11 o'clock that night?
What do you mean?
I meant, How do you know that your husband had planned a rendezvous for 11 o'clock that night?
I don't know. You told me. You asked me about the note he said.
Yes, I did. It's true. But I said 10 o'clock. I mentioned the note twice, and each time deliberately. I must admit, I said that the date was planned for 10, but you knew the exact hour of the meeting. Didn't you, madam?
No, you said 11. You must have said that.
Morrison, your notes, quickly.
On the day of the shooting, in the afternoon, your husband sent Josefa a note fixing a rendezvous at 10 o'clock that night. And here again, if you had intercepted your husband's note and knew that he was to be in Josefa's room at 10 o'clock.
No, no.
Then how do you know that what was written in the note? Answer, madam. It's crucial now. Because you are charged by your own words, not mine or your husband's or any other witnesses. Your own words. How do you know that the meeting was planned for 11 o'clock that night? How?
I got the note.
And the rest of it?
No, I deny it.
Morrison, please take Madam Obvious to the guard.
You're arresting me.
I think you should have some time to think. I mean, this case could be conceivably be regarded as a crime of passion prompted by your husband's misconduct. Undoubtedly, your lawyers will give you the same advice.
And you?
I am not a judge, madam, only a magistrate. Madam is not to be left alone.
Don't think of me at that innocent side. I'm not quite so obliging. He was brilliant, was it not?
Oh yes, very.
Morrison, do one thing. Please take this counter and get it signed by the chief prosecutor.
Right.
It's order for your release. When he comes back with it, you're free to go.
I don't know what to say. I'm bored over.
Meet a good person, get a good job, settle down. That's an order.
Yes, sir.
What is it? Where's the order?
On the chief prosecutor's desk.
You didn't sign it.
Sign it? He wouldn't even look at it. I think he is willing to release us, but not her.
Let me look at that.
Wait till he get upstairs. The chief's office is teeming with judges, ministers, high officials and deputies, all ready to bob ears.
Billy, is he in trouble?
Huh? H.A. with an exclamation mark.
Because he get me out of trouble. Oh
Don't worry, the chief has these silent periods, but they won't last more than a few years.
Here's the order for your release. Signed.
no. No, I don't want this.
What's wrong with you?
No, I refuse it. You are in trouble because you get me out of trouble.
That's none of your business.
It is. Send her home. I'll confess. I don't mind. Honest.
I do.
I wish I could give you something. A souvenir. It is from the good fight. Miguel brought me last year from the Ionic.